Hello and welcome to the Savage Goose Show, where we talk about all things Savage Worlds. I'm Goose, and today I am joined by Maverick. Say hello, Maverick.
Hello.
You're like off center. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. There's a little bit better. They're perfect. Cool.
Scooch.
Yeah, scooch over. Cool. Today we have a awesome. Awesome. I'm gonna say it's cool. It's a cool show.
It's a cool show.
Yeah, blinked there. Not sure what happened there. Yeah, cool show today. We're going to talk about lots of things. Go ahead and take a look here. We're going to talk about the newsletter, as always. We're going to talk about some Kickstarters. All the Kickstarters are going on in the Savage Worlds community. We're going to talk about some other news, which I don't really have much of, but I like to include it just in case. And then we're going to go over our main topic, which is today talking about the Savage Pathfinder, or the Pathfinder for Savage Worlds, Advanced Player's Guide 2. And we're going to discuss it. We have the backer draft was released for the Advanced Player's Guide. The draft for the bestiary is also released, I'm told. I haven't downloaded that or taken a look at it yet, but
I haven't looked at it either, but I know it's there.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think I've looked much through the original bestiary because I just use whatever stat blocks are in the adventures I'm running. So,
I did because I, ran a weird thing.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. But first, let's go ahead and head over to the newsletter. All right. So the newsletter from Pinnacle this week. A lot of stuff just about Gen Con, and Gen Con sounds like everyone was at Gen Con this year. Everyone I was talking to, or everyone I saw, not talking to, I didn't really talk to anybody about being at Gen Con, but everyone that I saw post from, like everyone, it felt like everyone was at Gen Con this past week. Not sure if that's the feeling you had too on the people you follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just felt like everyone was at Gen Con. Is there a way for us to make this a little bit bigger? Oh, no, this removes Eric. Oh, no. Okay, let's put this.
That's fine.
Yeah. Something make this a little bit bigger, but no. I'll have to work on another outlet. Maybe this one. That's a little better. Anyways, so a lot of people were at Gen Con this week. There was 31,000 attendees. If you don't know what Gen Con is, like my brother-in-law didn't, Gen Con is the largest tabletop role-playing game, board game, tabletop gaming. That's probably the best way to put it. Just tabletop gaming convention out there, as far as I'm aware. I think nothing bigger. It's out in Indiana, so if you're interested in doing that, check it out next year. I've heard that the vendor area is like the sight to behold, is how big the vendor area is and all the things going on around there. But yeah, so this year's show was sold out. Heimbach's Middle School box set was nominated for an Ennie Award, and the Ennie Awards is from EN World, which is announced, and the winners are announced at Gen Con. I think there's maybe some voting done too. I'm not sure. I don't think the voting's done. Pretty sure the voting is done online. But anyways, which there was I was listening to another podcast about one of the games that did really well at the Gen Con Awards. So maybe we should talk about that at some point, but not right now. Also, there was a panel for Savage Worlds called What's Up the Pinnacle. I have not heard anything about what happened at that. I would really like to know. So if you know any kind of cool discussions that were happening at that panel, please let me know. I would love to hear more about it. No, I did not. Hamster Doom. Okay, we're going to pause because clearly I missed it. Hamster Doom says, did you hear the next Pathfinder for Savage Worlds adventure pass they're going to work on? I did not. Do you know? Because if you do, I want to know.
I'm very interested.
Yeah, even though we're still working the first adventure path, but I want to hear. So spill the beans, or yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
Give us a reason to rush through the first and second adventure paths.
Yeah. Give us a reason to finish 11 books worth of stuff right now. Anyways, yeah, we're only through the first book on the first one too. So, yeah, so there's a lot of cool pictures here, a lot of cool stuff from Gen Con. Hopefully, one of these days, I'll be able to make it. We'll see when that happens. Probably more likely to get to a few of the more local ones, the one here in Pittsburgh, and maybe like PAX Unplugged in Philly. So, if you're into using Fantasy Grounds and Steam, looks like there are some more releases for products on there. You have the Savage Worlds Fantasy Companion and Terror on the Dark Frontier box set. Oh, sorry, the adventure deck cards for Savage Worlds Fantasy Companion and the Terror on the Dark Frontier box set for Rifts. Those are both available on Fantasy Grounds and Steam. Pathfinder for Savage Worlds Advanced Player's Guide 2 and Bestiary 2 PDFs. They also have been released. That's what we're going to talk about today, at least for the first one. And again, I'm probably not going to get through all of it. I doubt we're going to get through all of it, but we're going to at least try to get through as much as we can. And then for the media roundup for this week over at Pinnacle, there are actually 2 Savage Universe streams. One is Mike Lafferty, who did the After, which is actually a Savage Worlds I have. The Cocaine Owlbear, if you remember that. And then he's doing a currently, and we're going to talk about Kickstarters here in a moment, but he's doing a Kickstarter currently for a setting of his own making. And then on Thursday, they're going to have Jan Jetmar talking about the City Guard Chronicles, which is a amazing set of fantasy adventures where you play as city guards. I have now run 2. I ran one last weekend for some players. It was some of the best is running these, mostly because I tend to do it with players who don't know gaming very well, and they just kind of roll with it, and I can just kind of roll with it too. I mean, Eric,
I feel like you're saying something about our group in a roundabout way.
My normal group is a bunch of pedants and rules lawyers and optimizers.
We know the system, or kind of know the system.
Anyways, so there's a bunch of cool, fun stuff. I want to watch that one, but that's August 8th. That's Thursday at 9. That's right after our weekly game, so I can go straight from our weekly game into watching that. As long as y'all leave my house.
Good luck.
So Legacy Spotlight, Enemies Unleashed for Savage Worlds. This is by Star Anvil Studios. We are going to talk about this a little bit as well as we get into our Kickstarter area. A lot of Kickstarter spoilers in this newsletter. So, yeah. They also did Star Anvil Studios also did the Secret Worlds RPG for Savage Worlds, which actually they did it for 5e as well. So keep that note on that. I got my PDFs for that and my coupon codes to get the Secret Worlds books printed from on demand. And I just have to decide if I want the Templar cover, like the fancy like limited edition Templar cover, or if I want the generic Secret Worlds cover. Because all my other books are generic, so I'm not sure if I really want non-generic. Let's see here. Hampton's got an update for us. At that panel, they said Carrion Crown and then Kingmaker. Oh, so they didn't only just announce one. They announced 2.
Well, that's exciting.
It's good to see that Paizo and Pinnacle are just getting along so well, and I like it.
Right? I love that.
Yeah, so keep doing that. Maybe eventually, maybe someday they'll let them do Starfinder. I think it's possible, right?
It's possible.
That's cool. Status reports on the crowdfunding things that have coming from Pinnacle. 20th anniversary celebration. Pledge Manager closes on the 15th, and they will ship as soon as they're done with Necessary Evil 3. I can't skip that one because they're just going to ship it. So, get ready for that. Deadlands Night Train 25th anniversary. All digital files are available. I think David actually ran, one players from my group actually ran Night Train for us last week, and we all died. So, Savage World Sounds Fiction Companion. Sign up for the Pledge Manager. Make sure you do that if you did back that. And then, obviously, we have the booster campaign for the Savage Pathfinder Advanced Player's Guide 2 and Best Rate 2, which we're going to talk about. All right. So,
such a long-winded name.
The Pathfinder Savage Worlds Advanced Player's Guide 2.
Yeah.
Yes. This is why we don't say Pathfinder Savage Worlds. We just say Savage Pathfinder. That's just why everyone like this. It's so much simpler.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to Kickstarters. Let me go back to this tab here. Perfect. Going to Kickstarters. The Tome of Monsters Kickstarter ends Thursday, August 8th. That is not tomorrow, 2 days from now. So Thursday. So they have that right there. It says Thursday right there. Thursday, August 8th, is a collection of different monsters to use in your games. Got some mostly pretty creepy monsters, if I'm honest, like creepy dolls, creepy girls, creepy whatever this guy is over here. And creepy Norse mythology type stuff. I don't know.
Could be Norse, could be Native American, honestly.
Oh, fair. Anyway, creepy stuff. Also ending on Thursday, August 8th is the Pew Pew Bounty Hunters in Space from Fainting Goat Games. Again, these are the people who did the After and Cocaine Owlbear. So check that out. Definitely going for this like old school vibe aesthetic, like old like 80s toys kind of aesthetic. So check that one out. All the Kickstarters, I did get them all linked this time in the description below, so they are all down there if you want to read through them or go back them. Ending Friday, August 23rd, and launched today is the Enemies Unleashed campaign by Star Anvil Studios. We are planning on having them on in a couple months, actually like 3 months, 2 months, about 2 months for something else. But if you want to see anything, this one, go ahead and check the link down below. Basically some stuff for like villains and stuff and enemies. Good like resource for enemies. And then Rift's core reprint. So these are, if you are not familiar with Rifts, it was originally done. It's a really old game. Not really old, but like it's a pretty old game, like one of the OGs in a sense, by Palladium, who then worked with Pinnacle to do a Savage version of the Rifts system. Originally, it was done for Deluxe Edition or Deluxe Explorers Edition, which is the books I have, and then they made it into SWADE because SWADE was soon after Deluxe Edition, and now they're reprinting them, so they're doing like another print run, which will include any updates to the like typos or any kind of mistakes they made. So there is a Kickstarter going on for that, where you can get just the main books, or you can get literally like every single book that's done, or like every single product that's available for Rifts. So if you're interested in getting to Rifts, which I'd say is one of the bigger games that's Patrols does, it's like Deadlands, it's like Pathfinder, Deadlands, and Rifts. Those are the three big games for Savage Worlds. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Maybe a fourth one being superheroes.
Yeah,
there's not like a lot about that on, but there's not like that's not like a.
It's not like a set. Yeah, it's not setting. There's Necessary Evil, which is a pretty big product line from them that they've continued on with, which is you play as villains who are trying to prevent bigger villains from taking over the world.
I would say those four things are like 95% of what I see.
I tend to see a lot of East Texas University stuff.
Yeah.
Just because it's only like one, and it's not one product, but it's like one product line. They are working on another version. I think it's gonna be called New Blood is the working title right now. So that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing that when it comes out, because I did enjoy our ETU campaign. I think I want to do it a little bit differently next time. But I like the setting.
Yeah, it's a good setting.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, we are going to talk about Savage Pathfinder Advanced Player's Guide 2 discussion. What's cool, what's boring, and what's broken. Go ahead and I gotta stop this sharing now. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Savage Goose. I'm Josh. No, I'm not. I'm Goose. You call me Goose. Welcome to Savage Goose. I'm Goose. This is Maverick. We're going to talk about the Savage Pathfinder Advanced Player's Guide 2 and kind of our thoughts on it based on the backer draft that we got through the Kickstarter. I'm going to go and pull it up. I do have it here, as well as the other books, just to make sure that we can kind of like, if we want to reference something, because it is like the second book in a series. It's going to be referencing some of the other books.
It's the third book, really. Because Advanced Player's Guide 2. So it's Player's Guide,
yes.
Advanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's things to reference.
There we go. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see this a little bit. I don't want to make it too clear, but we can at least kind of talk through it. Here's everything that is kind of like in the book. This is like I like to look at a book's contents to start, just so I know like, hey, like what's in here, I know some people like to look at the index instead, but I think personally I find the contents just to kind of give me an understanding of how the books will be laid out as well. And give me a very high level picture of like what kind of new content I'm going to get in this.
Yeah.
So we have some new ancestries. I think we have some new ancestry options. Also, this is a good opportunity for us, by the way, as a community to, if you see a mistake in here, maybe we can report it. If you have this book, there is a link on this page right here. If you click on feedback, please use this link. Just click on this whole link here. It will take you to the form to submit feedback. And if we see mistakes, we can like submit it there so that they know, hey, there's a typo or whatever. For instance, this double new ancestries thing, I don't know if this is intentional, but it looks like a mistake. So anything that looks like a mistake is a mistake. general like guidance on UX design. Not this is a program, but you know what I mean. So we get some new ancestries, which we'll talk about first. New hindrances, edges, class edges, background edges. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of focus around the class edges because as those are the new. It's kind of like the big thing in Savage Pathfinder is like actually having a class edge or in a class. So there's going to be a lot of talk about the things in there. There's a lot of interesting things being done in there too that I think we're going to want to talk about. We get some new powers, which we'll probably won't get to today. We also want to talk about gear and a lot of these things about like firearms and traps. Some more magic items. I don't think there's anything new in there except for some, like new, unless there's some new magic items, but there's like new enchantments and new ways to new things you can do to magic items.
There's some new magic items too.
Yeah, there's new magic items too. Yeah. Some expanded rules, which I haven't gotten. I have not gone. Definitely have not gone to this section yet. I've looked through all of these sections. I've not looked through the expanded section, which talks about binding outsiders, spell duels. There's some cool stuff in here, but I haven't actually looked at it yet to know like what is.
I made it that far because discoveries is what alchemists do, and so hidden in that section is stuff for my class.
I see. So I'll have to read through it myself later to make sure that there's nothing too broken for.
There's nothing too broken.
Okay. Got it. Well, let's go ahead and just kind of pop on down here to some new ancestries and talk about them. Here we go. All right. So the first kind of thing to kind of get into is that we have 5 new ancestries total. We have the Ifrit, the Oread, the kind of keep scrolling through the Sylph, and the Undyne. There's one more I'm not going to talk about yet, though. These 4, in my opinion, are basically like the Pathfinder version of Genasi.
They go together.
Yeah,
they're 4 elements.
Yeah, 4 elements. They're each have their own different background. I'm not going to get into the background. I kind of want to first kind of skip into like some of the design decisions and the mechanics of them. What's been your first thought about these particular?
They're all fine.
Ancestry.
I like the flavor of them. I like the flavor of them. They're all fine. None of them are like overwhelmingly exciting to me. I do like the design choice of going, hey, they all get elemental sorcery. That's a thing that they can also sub out for other things.
So let's talk about that real quick, actually. Because some of them can sub out elemental sorcery, but not all of them.
Can they not all sub out elemental sorcery?
No. So I think it was the. I need to check
the Oread does not.
Yeah, the Oread does not, and I think the Undyne do not. So like Undyne does not get to sub. Oh no, they do. Oh no, sorry, that's Sylph.
Nope. The Undyne don't get to sub it out either.
Yeah. So just to kind of quick talk about what elemental sorcery is. I dropped all my books. 1 second. Anyways, the fact that some of them can and some of them can't seems weird to me because the elements of sorcery, kind of backing up here, lets these races unlock the advanced bloodlines from sorcerers earlier. They can do advanced bloodlines at veteran instead of heroic, which is a cool ability because it means you can get that this fairly powerful bloodlines earlier. But I think is weird about it. I should say one. You have to have the right bloodline. So if you have if you're an Undyne, you need to have the elemental. You're not forced into choosing elemental water. But if you want to use this ability, you have to be elemental water bloodline sorcerer. So there's it should make sense. They're water-based creatures
tied to that element. It makes sense that they're really good at that element.
The thing that I don't like is one that if you for the ones that don't have the ability to sub it out for something else, is that you have this basically useless ability if you're not a sorcerer.
Yeah, and if you're not that specific type of sorcerer too.
Right. Yeah. Or even if you're a sorcerer and you're not that kind of sorcerer, like Oh, you're a sorcerer? No, yes, I am, but not that kind of sorcerer.
Although I do feel like if you choose to play an Undyne and you choose to play an Undyne sorcerer, you're very likely going to choose an Undyne water elemental sorcerer.
Yes. Yeah, I don't like that they're you can't sub out those for those two. It's like, and I also think it's weird that like some of them, like the Sylph, you can do it. You can sub out for a Sky Speaker, which lets you, so it lets you cast Binder Beast Friend with Mind Rider once per day. Like, okay, it's fine, but like, why does
it's fine.
It's fine. But why do these other guys not get a substitution? Why does the Undyne and why do the water and the rock people not get a way to sub it out? So otherwise, yeah, I think I agree with you. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I like that there are some other options. I don't think they're necessarily like super strong. I don't think they're super weak, which is kind of what you want, really.
Right. I think they're solidly balanced.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that one weird thing with the Undyne and it was the Oread. Yeah. I just would like to see that changed. There was one more race, and we'll kind of scroll down here to them, and that is the Vine Leshy. I think these guys are awesome.
My initial opinion of them is these guys are sweet. I think they're the weakest of the, like, mechanically weakest of the new ancestries.
Okay. And that is because
reduced skills, reduced pace, reduced toughness because of their reduced size. And one of their abilities goes on when you die.
Once you die, yeah, it's fair.
Right. Like when one of your positives of your race is when you die, you do this cool thing. Is it really that cool?
So, do I want to die then? Is that? Oh, but I don't know if that's a positive thing because it heals all. Oh, it says all plant creatures in the template. One. It's all plant creatures in the template. So if you're fighting a bunch of other plant creatures, this could be a bad thing because if you're fighting, I think your party's fighting like some sort of plant monster.
In the right campaign, absolutely, it's cool. Like if you're a group of Vine Leshies, that's hypothetically really sweet.
Have you actually done the math to see if this is a positive or negative?
I have not. To me, it just reads as a negative or as a positive. But you're right.
Change is positive. I don't want to go through it right now.
I don't know the pluses and minuses of them is the thing. So, like, some of them could be plus more than some of them are minus. It's the most underwhelming to me. Although it does get 2 of the 5 abilities at a bonus starting, which is pretty solid.
Spirit and Vigor at D6, starting at D6.
Vigor.
Yeah, so they're quite strong in that regard. Obviously, the reduced skills does make things a little bit, not starting with a D4 and Notice is probably the biggest hit there.
Not starting with a D4 and Notice or Common Knowledge.
I think they're just the cool. They seem fun. I don't know. There's nothing about them.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely the coolest. Like, I think they're the coolest. I think they're mechanically probably the least.
Sure.
Although we talked about how the other 4 all have like a dead positive if you're not playing the right kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, either way, I think these are kind of cool. My thoughts is just like, this is what you want to play if you're going to play. If you want to play Groot, this is what you play. You play a baby Groot.
You play a baby Groot because they're size -1.
Yeah. There's a little baby Groot. You take the mute hindrance and ask your GM if you can just. It's the only thing you can say is I'm Groot.
Yeah, they're cool. I like them. I would
play with them. There's something about their aesthetic and their amount of like different things. Like even the penalties, I think, are kind of fun.
They have a lot of abilities. Like the other, like, I mean, if you look at the Undyne, for an example, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things listed. The Vine Leshy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things listed.
Yeah. Positives and negatives. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
There's just a lot of cool things going here, and there's something about the way that they're portrayed mechanically that I like a lot.
I do like it.
So yeah, if you want to take my opinion, Vine Leshies are the way to go. All right. So from there, we move into hindrances. Now you before you mentioned that you felt like one of these hindrances was already a hindrance, just with a different name.
So not totally another hindrance, but just a different name. It's like a more flavorful version. Like burned is the one I was talking about. Is a more flavorful minor phobia.
Oh, okay.
Like you could represent the same thing with a minor phobia. But I like that burned is its own separate thing too.
Yeah, the only thing that the more flavorful part is one that it's fire, but also it's that you are injured by this. Like both.
Mechanically, you get a -1 to your rolls
when you're near fire.
It's a phobia, but
yeah, that actually kind of goes along with
flavorful phobia.
One of the other ones then. That's different. I'll talk about later because that's one of the ones I want to talk about. Don't go too far. The most part, I thought these were fine. Most of them weren't like.
I agree.
Weren't like incredibly like whatever. Like I wasn't like super excited about them. There was a few though that did catch my attention. And is there any that before I get to mine, was there any that caught your attention specifically?
I mean, the Shadow Scarred is kind of cool. It's like a unique thing. I like that.
That's one I was going to bring up myself.
Unlearned is a cool one.
Unlearned, I have in my. I don't know if this is cool or not.
I like it. I like it as a hindrance.
Yeah. So I'll start with Shadow Scarred, where it says, "You're touched by terrible horrors that live in your darkness just outside the human sphere, and feel your life force ebb away ever so slightly whenever you return to the shadows. You are vulnerable as long as you are in an area of dim, dark, or pitch darkness."
That is definitely a major hindrance.
Yeah, definitely a major hindrance because I mean, what in Savage Pathfinder, what are the chances you're going to be in a dim, dark, or pitch darkness? Pretty common.
I mean, it means that I'm just wild attacking left and right because I'm vulnerable anyway.
Oh, that's a fair point. I didn't think about that. I always have to think about those points where like when we're already vulnerable, it's like, hey, if you're already vulnerable, you might as well just wild attack. That's one of the things I always forget about. Like,
right. Like if I'm already vulnerable, if I'm already gonna be vulnerable, whatever. All right.
Yeah. Do you ever think like that?
Which I actually think is a con of this is that it encourages a gameplay that you wouldn't naturally do necessarily.
Right. Because I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm conflicted on that one because like that's something similar to a few other things where I'm like I don't really like that interaction. Leave a comment down below, guys, if you have your thoughts on double vulnerability or lack thereof. Not that there really should be. Do you think there should be like layers of vulnerability?
No. I mean, no, I don't think so.
Okay. The other thing I can think of is like if you gain vulnerability when you're already vulnerable, you just become distracted and vulnerable. Would be a way you could do it. I'm not saying you should do it, but I want to hear thoughts on.
There are things there are things established as a precedent that if what is it? When you sneak up on someone, you can get the drop or vulnerable. So like, would 2 vulnerables be the drop? That seems very scary.
Yeah, the drop is like +4 damage. Yeah. +4. I think it's +4 to attack and damage. I'll have to check.
It's +4 to attack and damage. And you could hypothetically just one-hit someone.
Right.
Because they have to roll vigor against the damage or something. I don't remember. I haven't read it a bit.
Yeah, same. None of us play sneaky character. None of you guys play sneaky characters. So
no, we don't.
And I don't play sneaky characters against you guys. Cool. The other one I thought was interesting was self-doubting. And you suffer -1 spirit rolls, that's definitely a major hindrance.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a major hindrance.
Yeah. I mean, every time you're shaken, you have to roll spirit. That's a -1 to unshake, which means you're probably gonna spend your bennies to unshake. You're going. That's a -1 automatically to every fear roll you make. It's on a -1 automatically to any spell that targets your spirit. It's also -1 to resist any test that uses
Resisting
spirit.
persuasion.
Yeah, which we don't tend to do persuasion resistance.
Right. We don't tend to, but it is a -1 to resisting persuasion.
Yeah. Maybe you're doing like a persuasion as a test. Yeah. Any spirit-based test is going to. So that's definitely like. There's a lot of times you need to roll per spirit, and because of that, like a -1 can be fairly significant, even though it's not like a. So like I definitely at first I was like -1 major, like oh no -1 spirit, -1 to spirit definitely is deserved.
Yeah.
Unlearned. Let's talk about that real quick, since you brought it up.
Yes.
It's definitely a major hindrance because you.
Oh, it's definitely a major hindrance.
I'm not sure how I feel about the combination of the flavor and the mechanics.
What do you mean?
I guess unlearned is. I guess I get to read the first part, which is just like you always had
difficulty learning.
Right, you've had difficulty learning.
Which makes sense. The rest of it.
I feel like that should be the name of the hindrance. It's just difficulty learning, because unlearned makes it sound like you're not taught. It sounds like you're from a backwater village and you don't know anything. Yeah.
Unlearned as a name almost feels like it should be the opposite of elderly, in that you lose 5 points of smart space skills, but you gain some other side.
Yeah, I guess it's just the name. The name is what gets me.
The name is not a great name for what it actually is doing.
Yeah. That's probably where I'm at. All right, so let's go ahead and I think otherwise there wasn't many. All the other ones seemed fine.
Sleepy to me actually feels like
that. I did write a note down for that one. I don't like this one.
I don't like it because as a group, that 4 extra hours of having to sleep every day for a minor hindrance.
Yeah. So here's what's going to happen with this hindrance. One, it's not going to affect you. It's going to affect your whole party.
Right.
Either they're going to be annoyed at you because they can't go play, or they can't go on and keep adventuring for a little more time, or they're going to go on without you. And
you're going to be tired all the time.
Yeah, or you'll be tired all the time. And if it's the first thing happens where they go, okay, I guess we're done for the day, you're going to create real distress inside the party, like inside the group, like the real players group, and maybe cause the GM some headaches too.
Because realistically, if the GM's going, you guys are actually on a real time table here. Like you guys have to be progressing the story. Sleepy throws that off.
Yeah,
minor.
I may just throw up straight up throw out Sleepy. Like no, Sleepy's banned.
To me, that's a major hindrance.
Well, it's a mechanically, I think it's just a minor hindrance. I think it's a major. I think the problem is that I don't think it's just a hindrance in game. I think it's a hindrance out of game too.
I also think it's a hindrance to the whole party, not to just you.
Right. But again, I think the bigger effect though is not the in-game hindrance to the party. I think it's the bigger thing is the out-of-game hindrance to the party.
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't care for it. So yeah, please leave a comment below if you have your own thoughts about that.
I also found it interesting. There's only one hindrance that is both minor and major.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. Was
the only one I saw was doubt.
You lack confidence in your abilities or confidence in the universe at large with a minor version's hindrance. Whenever you fail an non-attack roll, skill roll, you have a minus 1 penalty to. Let's go to the next hour.
So a major one, if you fail a skill roll, you get a -1 to all of your skill rolls for the next hour.
Yeah. But I think one of my problems with doubt is that this sounds a lot like at least the flavor text. You lack confidence in your abilities. It sounds a lot like self-doubt. Your ever-present fear of failure causes a downward spiral. It sounds very like it sounds similar.
It does. You know? It sounds similar, but also they're doing separate things.
They're doing mechanically doing separate things, but I think the flavor,
the name should be. I mean, even flavorfully, they're doing the same thing flavorfully.
Yeah,
They just need slightly different names. I like the flavor of both of them.
I
Honestly, I like all the hindrances.
I don't know if I like hindrances that have or mechanics, not just hindrances, mechanics that say for the next hour, like requiring you to say, hey, has it been an hour? Like anything like you have to like ask that question, like, hey, has it been an hour? GM, I don't like it. I don't like this kind of mechanics.
Why not?
It's just extra bookkeeping. It's like, has it been an hour? I don't know.
Because
like if I say yes, and in some circumstances I say yes, you're gonna be annoyed at me. Where it's like, oh, okay, that means my ability didn't work for a very long.
That means that my mutagen wore off. Okay, right. That's not great, but
yeah,
it also encourages me to go, okay, I have an hour. I need to maximize the benefit. I'm pushing the story for the next hour.
I guess I don't like it because it often creates a conversation at the table, out of game, out of character, out of game. That's kind of like, well, we did this, and then that wouldn't have taken that long to do, and it basically can create a little bit of an argument between players and GM about how long has it been.
Right, but the other option is to go, okay, everything either lasts until you sleep, basically, or lasts a number of rounds,
or per encounter.
Yeah, you could do the per encounter, but then that's basically a number of rounds.
I think I like per encounter ones because it doesn't really. It's just you don't know how many rounds it's going to go. This might be a waste or it might not be a waste. So it's up to you to kind of figure out that question.
Yeah, but like, for instance, for my Alchus mutagens, there's a downside to them that are, if I'm using it, that downside, like if it's per encounter, okay, sure, I gain extra strength. I'm dumb as a rock for the next hour. Like, that downside is no longer relevant if it's in combat.
Right, but that's more of the question of game design itself. It's like, okay, then maybe the thing is that mutagen's been designed for the hour. If we designed it, that mutagen for it to last just one encounter, we would design it differently. We wouldn't have designed it to make you dumb as a rock for an hour, and it would have had a different downside instead, like taking a little fatigue or being vulnerable for the next hour or something like that.
But it wouldn't be for the next hour; it'd be for that encounter.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, or after the encounter's over, you check for the downside.
Yeah,
like
also would that your game design would be not for an hour; it'd be for until you recover from that thing.
Right. If it's a
which ultimately is until we rest, which is an hour.
Yeah, but resting during an hour is very clear. It's right. It's like, cool, that's something you're doing for an hour. It's not has it been an hour. It's because you've been doing stuff. It's like, yeah, you guys rested for an hour. Cool. Hours later.
Yeah.
Resting for an hour is definitely a lot easier to keep track of.
I agree with you, except for I do think there are things that should be, from a game design choice, if you go, okay, this thing's not an hour, it's per encounter, now I should get more uses of it, is the other side of that.
Sure. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not what happened.
Anywho, yes.
Yeah. So moving on from hindrances, we have some new background edges. Most of these were edges for the races. It's like the Fine Leshy, the Efreet, Self.
And by most, he means every one of them.
Is there not? I thought there was one for one of the other races from the other books, but I guess not. You're right.
Nope. Every single one of them is for one of those or multiple of those.
Yeah. One of the Vine Leshies I thought was pretty cool.
The Kudzu Grappler?
Actually, I think both of them are cool. Like, oh, you just get the Wall Walker ability, and oh, hey, your opponent, when you grapple somebody, which making a grappling Vine Leshie sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does. It sounds real cool, especially since there's 2 combat edges that do stuff with grappling.
Yes, and here, which I was like, surely there must have been some grappling edges in the first book. And the answer is no, there's not. There was not any grappling edges in the first book. And I was like, which I thought was kind of surprising, if I'm honest. There was someone who mentioned grappling edges on the Reddit, and how they find it's weird that
they both mentioned fighting.
Yeah, they all mentioned fighting as being the requirement instead of athletics, which is what you use to do grappling. And I definitely get that sentiment. It does seem a bit odd because, especially if you want to go for like a grappling guy, you know,
Yeah.
like I mean, you did wrestling for a bit in
Yeah.
middle school, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Wasn't that what it was?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me make sure I'm not making up. Would you say you know how to fight?
No, not really.
Yeah. Would you say you know how to wrestle?
I would say I know how to wrestle. I would say wrestling is wrestling is a weird place between fighting and athletics.
Okay. But I feel like wrestling is the closest thing to grappling.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And because grappling does require athletics, it just seems weird to put fighting in there as a requirement. I feel like it makes more sense to put athletics in there as a requirement, but I like to hear the reason for it. That's all.
For the 2 combat edges, the fighting actually kind of makes sense because it's more. One of them is once you've already grappled the person, how to go for their weak point. That kind of makes sense for fighting. And the other one's using them as shields. So that's being more aware of like your surroundings.
The choke, you're talking about the chokehold one?
Yeah.
The chokehold one, I think, should actually be a strength requirement.
Oh, I think it should be a strength requirement too.
I think it's just instead of a fighting requirement, it should be a strength requirement. But what do you think of any of these other ones? The only one I thought was that like really had me interested was I think they're all like have their use cases for sure. The one that I thought was really cool because people like fighting and stuff was the extra fire damage on the Ifrit.
The scorching weapon. I do. That one stood out to me as the most like straightforwardly powerful.
Yeah, like likely to be used one.
Yes.
Yeah. Probably by a monk, since it is unarmed strikes.
Unarmed strikes or two metallic weapons.
That's true.
Manufactured metallic weapons. Like,
yeah, you have to use it more things for sure.
And it's a free action, so every action I can just go, okay, my 2 scimitars just became burning hot, and they do extra damage for this round.
I think there might be a wording issue here.
For what?
Well, it's a free action.
As a free action, yeah.
You can do. It should be a limited free action. Shouldn't it?
Probably.
I think this is Also, Theses weapons. Theses weapons. That's a
Theses.
Yeah, we'll have to get that. We'll have to submit that as some feedback for fixing. Yeah, I think it
should be limited. I think the intent is it does +1 damage. It doesn't stack on itself. So
no. You go up to all you can. Basically, this says that you can touch. Basically, the way it is now, you can touch any amount of weapons nearby as a free action, including your friend's weapons. Doesn't say have to be.
It says they have to be held.
Doesn't have to be held by you.
Doesn't have to be held by you. But I think that
there's definitely some
either needs to be worded as held by you or limited free action.
I think it should just be a limited free action.
I think it should just be a limited free action.
It's a one-round thing.
My sword and my friend's sword get.
Yeah.
My sword and my friend's axe get.
Maybe both. Maybe it should be a limited free action and held by you.
I don't have a problem with it being like, oh, I touched my friend's axe's blade and it gets hot.
I'm okay with that too. But as a free action, it means that you can just keep going. Touch.
And especially since, like you brought up, you could be a monk and be very mobile.
Yeah.
And touch lots of weapons.
I touched lots of things. The other one I thought was actually interesting, besides that, those the Vine Leshy ones was also the Elemental Jaunt, being able to like plane shift once per day.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. I don't know what you're gonna do there, but that's cool.
It's good. It's flavorful. I like it.
All right. We're going to move on into class edges, and we're starting with the Gunslinger, which I think is my most controversial opinion. Well, not controversial, but like the opinions. The one I have the most opinions about.
Same.
Okay. So let's start with Gunslinger real quick. The requirements are you have to have agility D6 and shooting D6. You have the light armor restriction. You have an ability called Deeds. The following are deeds require the Gunslinger to have or spend a Benny. This is where I start having issues.
It needs a different resource.
I do not like, and I get that this is like sort of like an untapped territory in Savage Worlds, where like we have like this currency called bennies, and we don't have a lot of mechanical exchange with them. It's like we use them to do certain things, and we get them back for doing cool role playing stuff or whatever the GM wants to give us bennies. I do not like that we are tying character features to bennies.
I don't either. I don't either because it changes the power level of this edge based on how willing your DM is to give you bennies. Either you're going to, the DM doesn't give bennies, I can get a ton of bennies, so I'm going to stand out, or the DM hands out bennies like they're nothing, and now some of my abilities are cheapened.
Yeah.
I think it should be a different resource.
Yeah. I think it should be a different resource. I don't like it being bennies. And like I said, I get that it's a area of the game that that's like opens up new design, kind of like when Magic the Gathering started putting stuff on the back of their cards. I was like, oh, here's this like untapped area of the game that we never thought about like interacting with, and it's like, but maybe you shouldn't.
Go back to when the things transformed in Kamigawa.
Oh, I mean, I don't actually mind it in Magic, but anyway,
I don't either. I don't actually either, but
like, I don't like. I feel like it kind of takes away from the. How do I say this? And that doesn't sound dumb. The purity of bennies. Like bennies are bennies. Stop! Don't make them into other things. I don't know.
Bennies are bennies, and honestly, this made me go, okay, I don't know how I feel about bennies being even able to be manipulated by edges or hindrances or whatever. I don't know that I like even the lucky edge.
Yeah, I know that's been something that we've talked about, is like
its value can change drastically based on how willing your DM is to just hand out bennies.
Right. And one of the other things that I think we kind of talked about in our games is that, or talked about in reference to our games, that there's throughout a lot of RPG books, including Savage World stuff, there's an assumption that game sessions go for 4 hours. And so if they had designed the lucky edge with that in mind, well, that makes it when we have our 2-hour games, because that's all longer our games are a week. We have 2-hour games. I'm in 2-hour games a week of Savage Worlds, and that makes lucky even more powerful if it was originally assumed to be 1 extra Benny for a 4-hour game.
Right.
Marcus brings up when it comes to the bennies thing, easily just change bennies to a pool of grit points that can get back through bennies like PP. And that's kind of that's what I saw on Reddit as well, is something similar to that, where you basically just get grit points, and then
like it that way.
Yeah, and that's the way I wish they would just do it that way. I wish if they would just said you can spend a benny to get 5 grit points or whatever the right amount, because I haven't delved that deeply into this.
Well, grit points are equivalent to a benny currently, so
1 grit points, 1 benny.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you spend a benny to get 1, so if you just said, hey, you can spend a benny to get a grit point. Cool. I know that seems like maybe like a little bit silly, but I like that better than just saying. There's something about the nature of tying it directly to bennies that I don't care for.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about guns in general?
In the right campaign, the right setting, sure. Like, I wouldn't really have a problem with guns in our current campaign. But
our current campaign is in
Galarian, so it's in this setting.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with guns. but I don't want them to be like overly commonplace.
Right.
Like I think they need to be like rare-ish.
Yeah. So, so I'm thinking about this question, right? If we were to switch out, if we were to give them a set amount of grit points to spend instead, that would also would increase the power level of this by a lot, because you don't need your bennies are now only used for benny stuff, and on top of that, you have another resource to use as well.
I don't think it increases the power level by a lot. I think it does increase the power level by a bit, though. If you go, okay, you get 3 bennies, you also get 3 grit points to do your
I think you'd have to
with.
You would probably have to increase the cost of some grit points, or of some things, like one from one grit point. Oh, actually, let's see here. What actually takes like so targeting
can. So
What's
the
that?
quick draw can take a benny.
The quick
it doesn't
clear?
necessarily have to. Or quick clear. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't read. My phone's too far away from me. The blast lock uses it. The targeting uses it. Cheat death uses it. Which cheat death is probably the coolest thing that they do. Not the coolest. It's the most survivability thing that they do. Like, oh, wound kept 1.
No, that's pretty cool. That's
instead
pretty
of trying
strong,
to
too.
Instead of trying to soak these 3 wounds, wound caps 1.
I will say that to do that would require you to spend 2 bennies.
Why?
Oh, sorry. Wound cap 1. You're right.
Wound cap 1.
So what you could do, though, you could go wound cap 1, and then spend another benny to only soak 1. Only have to soak 1.
No, you still would have, because the wound cap is 1. So if I take 3 wounds, I still have to soak the other ones, don't I?
Nope.
Oh no, you're right.
You only ever the whole point of wound cap is to say that you don't have to soak. You're thinking of the other ability that's in
I'm thinking of unstoppable.
Yeah, that sounds right, or one of those ones. Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas wound cap just says you never have to soak more than whatever the wound cap is.
Yeah.
Which usually wound cap
is 2 bennies and soak 1 wound.
Yeah. At the very least, you're not taking more than 1 wound. But I still think I don't think it'd be that much worse to just say, hey, you start with even just 2 grit points, because you can get them back.
Because you can get them back, or you start with 0, but there's an easy enough way to get them. You can keep them between sessions.
Yeah, that.
It creates more paperwork that way.
Yeah, I'm thinking you might want to do it something like you said, more like PowerPoints, where you start with like 2, and then like if you take a long rest, you reset to 2.
I guess I do. I have to keep track of my PowerPoints between sessions, so it's not any more paperwork than my PowerPoint.
Yeah, but your PowerPoints do reset after a long rest.
Yeah, you just have these reset after a long rest to 2.
To 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 2. I think 2 is the number.
At least 1. It has to be at least 1.
Yeah, it has to be at least 1. Overall, I like the Gunslinger. I like the flavor it's going for. I do kind of like these people are just lucky people, so bennies make sense. But at the same time, I don't like applying bennies to mechanics.
Yeah, that's my only hesitation. Is like if you could like replace bennies with like a grit point, and it's just like 1 point is this, I would be way more on board. Just like even if you just said, hey, you start with 1 grit point, and you can spend a grit point to make an attack to lock the firearm. You can regain them, and you keep them between sessions. That I think that should work fine. I don't like the idea of making your bennies do other things. Also, it makes Calm Bond really weird too. Makes Lucky really powerful. It makes Very Lucky very powerful, and also makes Calm Bond really powerful.
Yeah, because you're going to be producing you're going to be producing bennies, so you're able to hand them out too.
And at this point, your GM's like, I don't know if I want to give you more bennies.
Right. It actually kind of disencourages the benny to hand out bennies if you have a mechanical way of just going, I gain bennies.
Yeah. Tyler Childer says, it sounds like they're trying to do Hexslinger for Pathfinder. Is Hexslinger from... I don't know what Hexslinger is from, so you have to remind me what it's from. But they're going for... What they're doing is they're trying to move over Gunslinger from Pathfinder into Savage Pathfinder. That's what they're trying to do. He also asked me to look at the Mystic Powers, and it comes with 10 points. Oh, Deadlands. Oh, see, I haven't played enough. I haven't played any Deadlands yet, except for the one session. So sorry, my bad. Yes, I should have realized that though, because I did have read through the book enough times. I know enough to recognize it. Does the hex? So the question though is that, are you saying the Hexslinger? Does the Hexslinger interact with bennies? So that might be the question. So let's go and take a look at the Deadlands book and see if we can pull that up. Because I do have that. Let's go pull this up. I really hope it's not something they've done already. If it's something they've done already, it might feel a little silly, but also I still don't like it.
I still don't like it.
Is it in... oh, here. Okay. It's so hexslinging is a huckster edge. Makes your own hex guns. Far as blah, 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 blah. Once the hex can use a weapon to cast. Page 75. I gotta read through all this. Say some fun stuff while I'm reading through this.
Say some fun stuff.
Yeah, fun stuff. Okay. I've read through enough to say that I don't see anything about bennies here, so we're good there. I missed it, my bad, but I don't see anything about bennies.
It seems like it might be flavorfully doing some of the similar things. I don't know.
Yeah. For hucksters though, and hexslingers, they're using PowerPoints to do it. So
yeah.
All right. Anyways, back over here.
Maybe we're just trying to recreate a Hexslinger.
Yeah.
Anyways,
all right. So that's Gunslinger. I did enjoy it. Do you think we have time to do one more?
I think we can do one more.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of opinions about Magus too, but okay. We'll do Magus real quick, and then we'll call it for the night. And maybe next week, if Maverick doesn't have a little Maverick on his hands, maybe we can do it next week too.
Yeah, we'll see.
At least I can talk about it. Or if anyone out there wants to jump on and talk about, maybe we can do that too. We'll see.
We got a cool name.
Yeah, you come up with a cool name like Goose and Maverick. You can be Iceman. All right, arcane background. What's that?
I said anywho.
Arcane background. It requires you to have a novice. Yes, be a novice. Good. Smarts D6, and a fighting D6 because you're going to be using swords and weapons. It's an arcane background. You do get 10 power points. You get a bunch of cool powers. You have light armor interference, so you can't use anything more than light armor. You get some abilities to enhance your magical ability by spending power points to enhance your fighting. So of those 10 power points, you have 10 power points, right? You can spend 2 power points to get a +1 bonus to your next fighting roll. I don't think there's any limit on how many times you could theoretically do this. So theoretically, you could spend all 10 power points to get a +5, right?
Are these free actions? I assume.
That's the other thing. They don't say if these are free actions or not.
They don't say what kind of action these are. I am assuming these are free actions.
Yeah. I assume they're free actions as well. But it does not say that. So it's not a thing of like clarity. That'd be nice as to, hey, are these free actions? So you get a +1 bonus to your next fighting roll. Something's fine. Critical strike after getting a raise on attack. You can. So you get to spend 1. It has to be a free action because you're spending 1 after getting a raise in single attack.
After you're getting the raise, yeah.
And then you reduce the map on all your actions around by 2. So you have to declare. This only works when you've already declared you're doing multiple actions.
Right.
So you got to. But you can at least spend it, I assume, retroactively after getting a raise. So hopefully that's fine. Enhancement. This one requires you to do a little bit of digging through the core rulebook because you can give your weapon 1 point enhancement for 5 rounds. I haven't looked at the enhancements to. Well, like I guess I can go over here to the enhancements real quick and see what we got. Enhancements. So I'll go bookmarks here. I don't know why these are all extended already, but
I don't know either, but it looks beautiful.
sounds cool when you're like just looking like, where is this? Oh, I know, actually might be easier for me to use this one. Craft magic items.
That sure was easier.
Yep. So accurate, giving you a plus, give you a +1. Wait, what's the cost again?
2. They're both the same.
Okay, good. I was like, Bane gives you.
Is this a cheaper version of that?
Yeah, is this a cheaper version? It's not. Okay. Bane gives you a +2 armor piercing, and damage die increases 1 type. That seems pretty good. Oh, by a specific creature, but you could just declare it.
You declare your creature type. You go, okay, this sword's suddenly a Bane of these trolls.
Bane of Trolls. Yeah, then you get 2 armor piercing and your damage die increases. That seems pretty good. That seems pretty good.
That's for 2 power points. It's not bad.
Increase your damage for 2 power points. Increase your damage by 1. That seems pretty weak, actually.
That does seem pretty weak.
Which
is generally how I feel about most of these.
Elemental. You can change causes damage with an energy trapping. That could be good if you're in the right use case. Keen, it gets when it's exceptionally sharp, giving it armor piercing +2. Wait, what? Oh, because this one's because they're both getting armor piercing +2, but this one's regardless of.
Right. Yeah. So if you're fighting some trolls and some goblins and some spiders, maybe you might want to go armor piercing general.
Yeah, use the Keen. Yeah. Light, you get a medium blast template of light. That's good. Seems fine. It seems usable outside combat. Except for it's only for 5 rounds. So if you need light inside combat, that's how you're going to do it. Returning, throwing weapons. That does make throwing weapons pretty cool. I like throwing weapons. Also you can just make your weapon thrown. Because I guess theoretically you could stack these.
You could stack them, yeah.
Like, hey, I'm gonna make my sword a thrown weapon.
As long as they're both 1 point enhancements, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And for 1 point, you can get the Magus doubles his pace. That seems fine. I don't see a big problem with that. Seems pretty good.
That one and the critical strike to me are underpowered because I'd rather just have at a certain point, I'd rather just have the speed side of the speed power. Self only, it's the same cost.
But that requires you taking the power and spending half your edge on it.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
But also, you only had 2 powers to begin with, so you're probably going to want more powers anyway.
Yeah. This next one is the one that I...
Reflection's the most stupidly broken one of them.
Yes. This is too good, I think. I think it's too good. Let's read through real quick. It says, when a power targeting the Magus is successfully cast, the Magus can spend a number of power points equal to what the caster spent. This caster becomes the new target of the spell. Okay, so 2 problems here I have. One is that there's no save for it. There's no resisting, roll
there's
off.
No roll for it.
Yeah, there's no roll, but you just do it. Yeah.
Just do it.
The big bad spends a bunch of points, spends like a big burst on me. Nope, he takes it now. That seems too good. Big bolt, I should say, not burst. Burst doesn't have a target. So that seems too good to me. Also, I actually not sure. This part I'm not sure if it's broken up, but I don't think he should be spending the number of power points equal to what the caster spent if the caster shorted the power points.
I
think it should be like, and I don't know if it's a limitation
of the power.
Yeah, should it be the cost of the power? Well, here's the thing: should it be the cost of the power? Should it be the cost that they spent? Or should it be what they spent? Should it be what cost? Or should it be like some sort of mixture, like unshorted cost? Like, because if I limit it, let's say it's a 2 PowerPoint thing, I take a limitation to make it touch only, and I reduce it down to 1, and then I short that last one. Well, what should the cost be? If it's what I spent, guess what? You know how many power points I spent on that?
0.
I said 0. I shouldn't be able to I shouldn't be able to roll to do something, and then you go, nope, for free. You touch yourself.
For free, I go, your action's useless, and I get an action out of your action. That's just really changing up the action economy.
Yeah, so that needs to be reworked because if we were using this right now, and I like shorting powers personally, you know that. At least one power, as long as it's not too much, like one PowerPoint, whatever. I'll short a PowerPoint.
Yeah, I'll short a PowerPoint.
And that happens. So I short a PowerPoint so I can do it for free. And you said, "Oh, reflect for 0." I'm like, I don't like that. That sounds wrong. So I'm just gonna leave it there. That just sounds wrong.
That makes it even more busted than was already in my head.
You're welcome. That was on my own thoughts too. It wasn't even like I
mean, these were my thoughts coming into this work. That's really that, and the spell recall are the only things I'm like, wow, that's really cool in the Magus.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and kind of keep going then. So spellbook, they still need a spellbook just like wizards. Spell strike, as a limited action, a Magus can cast a spell through a one-handed weapon. The Magus makes an attack roll using the lowest of their fighting and spellcasting, which I do like it when we do things like that, where it's like, hey, it could be this or this, so we're just gonna say it's the lowest of the two.
You're supposed to be good at these two things. It's the lowest of those two things.
Yeah, I've seen it in a few other places before, where it's like, okay, do the lowest of these two things. Either you're like, I think one thing was like, if you're in Vermilion, it's if you're talking to somebody who's got a different language than you, but you still have that language, and when you roll persuasion, you roll the lower of your persuasion or your language die with them.
I like that.
Yeah, so like when it's like one of those things where you're not really sure, just saying the lower of these two, like both these two make a lot of sense. Do the lower of these two, or like both should be important. I should say it's like, oh, both should be really important in this situation. Not which one should it be. Like usually you should go with whatever really they're highest with. But I think in certain situations, like saying, okay, for this ability, it needs to be that. This function is the same as using a power with a touch limitation, except it also deals more damage. So I have a couple questions about this.
Mm-hmm.
One, does that limitation give you any bonuses? Do you get the PowerPoint reduction?
I think it functions the same as using a power with the touch limitation. So yes, you get the power.
But usually when you get the touch limitation and the PowerPoint reduction, that's happening when you take the power.
Yes.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you get the. I don't know if you get the PowerPoint.
Otherwise, what else is a function of that touch?
In that it's saying like your range is reduced. Like so, if you have a range of, if your power has a range of, smarts. Hey, now the power has the touch limitation instead.
To me, I think it's supposed to be that like you get the point reduction for that one limited action.
I don't think that's what it means.
I think really it is.
I don't. Yeah. So that needs to be. I think that needs to be clarified. I'll have to like go through this video later and just like notate all the things we're not sure what this means and just do all that feedback. Or someone in the comments wants to do that for me. That'd be cool. After that, it says except it also deals weapon damage. So one of the comments I saw in the Reddit was, okay, so if you do bolt with the damage modifier to go from 2d6 to 3d6, and then you have a weapon that does, let's just say the weapon does 2d6 damage for strength and that's 5d6 damage.
That's 5d6 damage. That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage. What I think they mean here is that you do the power damage and then you get to do the weapon damage. You don't do them together.
They're not rolled for one simultaneous amount of damage. It's right. It does bolt damage and then also in the same action, but not the same time.
Right. So you do 3d6 damage, resolve the damage, then do 2d6 damage to the weapon damage, resolve that damage. And in other games where you choose hit points, that wouldn't matter. They'd be the same thing. And Savage Worlds, it matters because that you need to resolve damage separately because one may do a wound and one may just do nothing.
Because 5d6 is 17.5 damage on average. That's an absurd amount of damage before exploding. Yeah,
before exploding, that's 17.5 points of damage,
which is an absurd amount of toughness.
Right. So that's way too strong. Whereas if you do 3d6, we're down to math it, Eric Maverick.
3d6. That's an average of 10.5, which is a much more reasonable number.
Yeah, and then 2d6 being just 7.
Yeah, which also is a much more reasonable number.
So, yeah, so just that's a much more. Yeah, so doing those separately it has to be separately. Otherwise, doing 5d6 is way too strong.
5d6 damage is essentially, hey, you take at least 1 wound. Probably more than that, because your toughness is probably not more than 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, I mean the strongest I've ever seen is a 14. In a oh sorry, that's not the strongest, but the strongest I've seen in an adventure.
I mean, as long as you're not a shifter.
The strongest I've seen in an adventure I've run has been a 14, and that was actually for a seasoned game. All right, so moving from there, that's what I think on that. I do think there's some clarification.
I think that needs clarified.
Both
those
things
needs clarified.
Both the PowerPoint reduction question and the question of like, wait, do these damages resolve separately? That needs to be clarified here. Wand mastery gives you the ability to like take your wand or your staff and then like and use it for your spell strike, so you can like cast it. You can still cast on your wand instead of using your own power, because the spell strike only says you can use your power. The wand and staff says like, okay, you can use a wand and staff to do it too, instead of setting an action to activate the wand and then make your attack. So
yeah,
which seems fine. That would have been 2 actions.
Yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah, that seems fine. I don't see a problem with that. Spell recall. You may spend a penny to recover all lost power points.
Straightforward, elegant, powerful.
Yeah. Is it too powerful?
I don't think it's too powerful now. For a veteran level edge,
you could theoretically have 20 power points.
You could theoretically have about 30 power points. However,
can you take the PowerPoint more
than power points at novice, seasoned, and veteran. So there's your 25. Plus maybe you took something that gave you familiar and got 5 more power. That's not your power points. Never mind. Take it back. 25. 25 is the max, I think.
Right. Okay. And then counter strike. Whenever an enemy within reach of the Magus successfully casts a spell, the Magus may make a free attack against them.
In your hypothetical situation where you were casting a touch attack on this person, they successfully attacked me. I can now get a free. I'm going to reflect it back at them, and then I'm also going to free attack on them. That is stupid good.
Yeah, because it doesn't say that their power fails. It doesn't say that. This doesn't say that the activation fails. It succeeds still as it hits them, and then you get a free attack on them.
Both of them are triggered on when they successfully cast a spell.
They definitely like to kill mages.
Yeah.
Which I think is like kind of idea. And true Magus, when the Magus uses spell strike, he ignores arcane resistance and arcane resistance improved. I thought this was kind of a lame legendary edge for the class. Because I don't see that ability very often in creatures.
I don't see it either, but I think it shows up in things that are going to be trying to kill magic users.
Yeah, maybe. I just in the books and the things we've run, we don't use it very often. So it's very situational. I guess it's almost too situational.
Hey, now, I had arcane resistance to the thing that Manili just ran. Did it ever come up? Not once, but I had it.
Right, but I'm saying that's my point. Like the things that we're running, the monsters don't tend to have it.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, all right. Well, I think we're gonna call it there to the Magus. There are a few other things I would like to talk about the shifter at some point. So hopefully
the
next
ninja
week
and the shifter.
Huh?
The ninja and the shifter.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that this ninja is going to be overlooked the most because it's the least controversial.
That no one's brought it up. I'll say that. I haven't seen anyone bring up anything about the ninja. I've seen people bring up stuff about Gunslinger. I've seen people bring up things about the Magus. I've seen people bring up things about the shifters. I haven't seen anything about the ninja. So
yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I hope everyone had a good time tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Maverick, for joining. I hope you can join next week, but also at the same time, I hope that you have a baby next week.
We'll see. We will see.
Yeah. So hoping both ways, and mixed opinions. Let us know
right.
what you think about what we've talked about tonight in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and especially about the things that we were like, oh, that seems a little too powerful, and we're not sure about. So if you can leave a comment down below about that, I really appreciate it. Let us know. We'll go ahead and I'll try to go through back and look at all the feedback we have so far and submit that to Pinnacle on our opinions. But we'll go from there. Thank you all, and you all have a great night and stay savage. See you next week.